Get it on the floor.
You really about to do it?
40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music.
40 acres and a mule. The phrase that went viral at the halftime show and infected the social media feeds of millions, inspiring dance videos ranging from small children to the elderly around the globe. But what does it actually mean? 40 acres and a mule. Today we will be taking a deep dive breaking down what 40 acres and a mule actually means and unpacking the history of lies, abuse and oppression. So, get comfy and buckle up as we turn back the pages of history. The year is 1865. The American Civil War has just ended, leaving a nation scarred but hopeful. For enslaved African Americans in the South, freedom is finally at hand. But what will freedom look like, and how will they rebuild their lives after centuries of forced labor and brutal oppression? From this turmoil emerges a glimmer of hope. 40 acres and a mule. This phrase captures a promise made by the Union government to newly freed black families. It represents a chance for economic independence and self-sufficiency after generations of exploitation. This promise found its most concrete expression in General William T. Sherman's Special Field Orders, Number 15, issued in January 1865. Responding to the urgent need to address the plight of freed people, Sherman set aside a vast swathe of coastal land confiscated from Confederate landowners. This land, stretching from South Carolina to Florida, was to be divided into 40-acre plots and distributed to black families. Some families also received mules from the Army's surplus, providing the means to work the land. This order was not merely an act of charity. It was a recognition of the injustices endured by black Americans and an attempt to provide them with the means to build a new life. For the first time, they had the opportunity to own land, the foundation for economic independence and social mobility. The promise of 40 acres and a mule was no empty gesture. Newly freed black families seized this opportunity with determination, eager to build a future on their own terms. They flocked to the allocated lands, establishing communities filled with hope and a deep hunger for self-determination. From the ashes of slavery rose vibrant communities. Families cultivated the land, growing crops like cotton, rice, and vegetables. They built homes, churches, and schools, laying the foundation for a future where they could live, work, and thrive without the shadow of oppression. The Freedmen's Bureau, established in 1865 to aid former slaves in their transition to freedom, played a crucial role in this process. The Bureau helped allocate land, provided tools and seeds, and offered education and legal assistance. These efforts, combined with the resilience and hard work of black families, brought forth a period of remarkable progress and hope. For a brief time, the promise of economic independence and true freedom seemed within reach. These communities, born out of struggle and resilience, stood as testaments to the transformative power of land ownership and the unyielding spirit of the newly emancipated. The hope ignited by 40 acres and a mule proved tragically short-lived. With Lincoln's assassination in April 1865, the dream of economic justice began to crumble. His successor, Andrew Johnson, held vastly different views on Reconstruction. Johnson's presidency marked a sharp reversal for black landowners. Under pressure, Johnson revoked Sherman's field orders. The land was returned to former enslavers, a deep betrayal. Black families who had cultivated their land saw their progress ripped away. Many were evicted, their dreams shattered. The reversal was a devastating blow to black aspirations. It signaled a shift, paving the way for Jim Crow laws and economic inequality. The promise of 40 acres and a mule became a bitter symbol of broken promises. The legacy of 40 acres and a mule is etched not only in the annals of history, but also on the very landscape of America. The land, once promised to freed people, now tells a different story. In many places, it has been absorbed into sprawling plantations, luxurious resorts, and affluent communities, obscuring its painful past. The erasure of this history is no accident. It reflects a deliberate attempt to suppress the narrative of black land ownership and the broken promises that underpin it. For generations, the story of 40 acres and a mule has been relegated to the margins, its significance downplayed or outright denied. However, the land itself holds the memory of what was and what might have been. Each acre, now home to sprawling estates or manicured lawns, stands as a silent testament to a promise betrayed and a history erased. The ghosts of those who toiled and dreamed on this land whisper through the wind, their stories waiting to be unearthed and reclaimed. Section 5. Ghosts of Promise. The land's value today. The land promised under 40 acres and a mule carries a starkly different value today. What were once humble plots of farmland have in many cases become prime real estate. The very land that black families were denied now forms the foundation of wealth and privilege for others. Consider, for example, Skidaway Island, Georgia. Once home to thriving black communities established on land allocated through Sherman's field orders, Skidaway Island is now an enclave of luxury resorts and gated communities. The land that once held the promise of black economic independence now boasts multi-million-dollar homes and exclusive golf courses. The contrast is jarring. It underscores the enduring economic disparities that stem from the broken promise of 40 acres and a mule. The land, once envisioned as a means to bridge the racial wealth gap, now stands as a stark reminder of its persistence. The legacy of this broken promise is not just a historical footnote, but a living reality, shaping the economic landscape of America to this day. Section 6. Unearthing the Truth, Investigative Journalism and the Freedmen's Bureau Records. In recent years, a new chapter has unfolded in the story of 40 acres and a mule. Thanks to the tireless work of investigative journalists and the unprecedented access to digitized historical records, the full scope of this broken promise is finally coming to light. A groundbreaking investigative project, spearheaded by news organizations like the Center for Public Integrity, Mother Jones, and Reveal, has unearthed a treasure trove of evidence. Utilizing newly digitized and transcribed records from the Freedmen's Bureau, including over 1.8 million individual records and land titles, this project has pieced together the intricate history of land ownership and loss by freed people. These records, aided by advanced technologies like AI-powered image recognition and keyword searches, paint a detailed picture of the promise, the betrayal, and the enduring legacy of 40 acres and a mule. They provide irrefutable evidence of black land ownership during Reconstruction, countering decades of historical erasure and misinformation. Section 7. Reclaiming Narratives. Descendants discover their legacy. The investigative work on 40 acres and a mule has not only unearthed historical truths, but also touched the lives of individuals whose family histories were intertwined with this broken promise. Descendants of those who were promised land, many unaware of their family's connection to this history, are now rediscovering their legacy. Mila Rios, a descendant of Pompey Jackson, embodies this powerful connection to the past. Jackson, a freedman who received title for 4 acres of land on the former Grove Hill plantation in Georgia, represents the thousands who briefly tasted the possibility of land ownership. Rios, learning of her family's history through the investigative project, describes it as a deeply emotional experience, a reclaiming of a legacy that had been hidden for generations. Rios's story, and countless others like hers, brings a human face to the historical narrative. These personal accounts breathe life into the dry facts and figures, reminding us that history is not merely a collection of dates and events, but a tapestry woven from the lives and experiences of real people. Section 8. The moral weight of history making the case for reparations. The unearthed evidence surrounding 40 acres and a mule has reignited the debate on reparations for black Americans. The historical record, once shrouded in ambiguity and often dismissed, now stands as a powerful testament to the systemic dispossession and economic injustice inflicted upon black communities. While legal avenues for reparations may be complex and fraught with challenges, the moral argument remains irrefutable. The promise of 40 acres and a mule, though brief, represented an acknowledgement of the harms of slavery and a commitment to restorative justice. The subsequent reversal of this promise constitutes a profound moral failing, the consequences of which continue to resonate today. The conversation surrounding reparations is not merely about righting past wrongs, but about addressing the present-day realities that stem from centuries of inequality. The racial wealth gap, persistent poverty, and limited access to opportunities faced by many Black Americans are directly linked to the legacy of slavery and the broken promises of Reconstruction. Addressing these disparities requires a reckoning with history and a commitment to reparative action. Section 9, Unfinished Business, From 40 Acres to Restorative Justice. The story of 40 Acres and a Mule is not a relic of the past, but a living history, its echoes reverberating through the generations. It serves as a stark reminder of the enduring legacy of slavery and the unfinished business of racial justice in America. While the specific promise of 40 acres and a mule may no longer be feasible, the underlying principles of restorative justice and economic equity remain as urgent as ever. So the quest for reparations is not solely about financial compensation, but about acknowledging the full scope of historical injustices and their present-day consequences. It is about creating a more equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, regardless of their race or ancestry. As we move forward, we must carry with us the lessons of 40 acres and a mule. This broken promise serves as a potent reminder of the fragility of progress and the enduring power of systemic racism. It compels us to confront the unfinished business of our nation's past and to strive for a future where the promise of equality is finally fulfilled.